Yeah, what? What? Weege show at a road race. Weege show at a road race. Extra special diamond gold platinum limited edition of a show. Lucas Oil Pro Motocross will start next weekend, so I had a freebie, had a free weekend. And big thanks to some of my old buddies who they needed a guy to fill in and help with the broadcast for MotoAmerica here in Virginia International Raceway. Shout out to my boy Greg White, who's the TV guy. They have an additional program for this series called Live Plus, where you can watch other classes and more coverage between commercials and during the intermissions. So I was part of that crew. So I got to touch base with the American road racing side, which I have not done. I will admit now that I've had the weekend. Was the weekend all right? Was I all right?
Is this racer?
You know this?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
dude,
Jake Lewis.
It's
our stock 1000 winner.
Motocross next weekend.
Dude,
I'll be tuned in.
Oh, okay, yes, I'll try to make you proud.
I'm a
So,
big fan.
okay, so now that you know that I'm the motocross guy, was I embarrassing at all? Was it like, this guy's clueless, get out of these pits?
No, it's super good. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
First
we're
time,
good.
Yeah, good.
All right.
Yeah.
What happened to you in this race at the end, man?
Shifter broke.
Okay.
Yeah.
You saved your good stuff for the race that you
it's
really
good.
need.
Yeah. The stock race was an important one. So
That's right. See you the next one.
Have a good one.
Yeah, because the next race of this series is another off weekend for motocross. So look at me, big road racing guy. So I would be lying if I said that I've been following road racing super closely. I do follow MotoGP because I had some broadcast opportunities last year in the United States with that series. So I've been following that hardcore. But I can admit this now that I'm done with the day. I went to the Atlanta race just to hang out. Richie Escalante, good job. Okay, you had a broken collarbone and you won?
Yeah.
You're gnarly. Did you even feel it?
Just pushing.
Yeah, there we go. He won the Super Sport. That's the 600 class, Richie Escalante, with a fresh plate and screws in the collarbone. Some injuries are familiar regardless of what type of two-wheel riding you're doing. He did that on a bicycle. Collarbone injuries and two wheels, they go hand and shoulder. So I'd be lying if I told you that I've been following the American road racing side anytime over the last couple of years. Now, what's funny is there was a heyday. There was an absolute heyday for this series back when it was called AMA Superbike. That was in the mid-2000s, when money in this industry, both in the Supercross motocross side and in the road racing side, was out of control. And you might hear on the Supercross motocross end people talk about the entourages of the big three at that time, which is Carmichael, Stewart, and Reed. Well, they had entourages because there was just a lot more money not just for the riders, but the amount that sponsors were willing to put in for other things. That's when those guys were flying private to the races. We all know what happened a few years later, 07, 08, by 09. We were in some serious economic doldrums, and certainly it had an impact on the dirt bike side. Salaries went down, but the thing that everybody feared, teams going away, that did not really happen. There's not as much money flowing through the pits. I even feel it's not quite flowing through the pits in motocross and supercross like it was in those heydays of 05. But then again, they were selling a ton of motorcycles back then, and I think most people were like, we'll never get back to those days of bike sales. And then this miracle, weirdo, crazy, this is terrible, but there was a silver lining of this pandemic, and suddenly sales are exploding again. We don't know if it's gonna last. You know, when we're talking 2005, it was a nice, strong, gradual climb for a long, long time. It was absolutely seemed sustainable, and that's why the budgets were going up. So motocross and supercross are in a good spot right now, and it might even be better in the future. Maybe it's not quite where it was in 05, but it's darn close. On the American road racing side, man, it's tough. They had, the series went through some serious changes at the exact same time the economy tanked. That was a two wrongs making it wronger. That did not help at all. And factory teams started going away. Everyone was looking for ways to save money. And this sport, from what everybody tells me, is way more expensive. Way more expensive. So the changes came at the wrong time. Howdy, folks. So this sport ended up in a big hole. Enter MotoAmerica, that's what they call the series now. Some old school people like Wayne Rainey, the legendary MotoGP champ. Gagne, let's talk.
What's up?
You moto folks might remember this guy when we were like, oh, road racer guy qualified for the National in Utah a few years ago. So we'll check in with you again. You are now dominating this series. Can I say that? Can I say dominating, or is that going too far?
For the weekend, I think, you know, we had a great weekend.
Okay, we'll say great.
So
okay.
For that, you know, we're stoked.
Okay.
And, we'll get to keep the ball rolling. You know, this Yamaha is really good, so.
Yep. You, not as much dirt bike stuff anymore? Still some?
Not quite as much.
Okay.
You know, not quite as much. I always love moto. Ride it when I can. You know,
yeah.
But man, it's been 6 years since my one-off race, man. And after that, I was retired. I was retired from moto racing after that.
You checked that box.
Yeah, I checked that box.
Cool.
Had a heck of a time, man. It was like childhood dream type of thing, you know.
Yep.
So.
Well, okay,
Back to work here.
Well, I was gonna say you're doing okay in your day job, which is winning road races. What I'm explaining to the motocross crowd is MotoAmerica. They've tried really hard to rebuild road racing in this country. Do you feel that? Do you sense that things are rising?
Definitely. You know, the racing keeps getting better every year, and as we see when we're at the track now, our fan turnouts are getting better and better and better. Our TV package is great, and we got guys like you coming in and doing a hell of a job and really helping us out. And so yeah, the more the merrier, man. We keep the motorcycle racing.
That's right.
I think we all love it no matter what. So yeah, it's good to see it grow.
Okay, that's what we want to hear. Positive stuff. All right, that's Jake Gagne. I'm not going to say dominant, just a great weekend. But he did win the 2 races going away at Superbike. So where was I? Yes, it was the wrong time for the series to go through major changes because the factories were literally looking for an excuse to cut the budgets, because this is like 2009 time when sales were tanking, and this sport is more expensive than the stuff that we talk about usually, which is motocross and supercross. So they had a problem. Not only did the factory teams start to go away, the factory teams, look, they're the stars. That's what we go to the races for, right? That's why we buy tickets. That's why we watch on TV. And let me throw in another thing. Dirt bikes, it was like the economy tanked and people weren't into motorcycles in general. It slowly started to come back. There was a very weird situation in the motorcycle industry where the sport bike, the like super fast, like the GSXRs and the R1s and the Ninja ZX10s, I think they call them, and the Honda CBRs, those types of bikes, back in the 90s, going back to the 80s when those bikes came around, into the 90s, the 2000s, they sold an unbelievable amount of them. This sport's more expensive to run, but the bikes cost more, and they sold a lot of them. So they had the budget at one point. But that particular sector of the motorcycle industry did not come back at all. You know, with dirt bikes, it was like the economy tanked, they went down, the economy slowly but surely got better, the sales started to go up. It didn't happen. It was like sport bikes went like this, and they just stayed there. For whatever reason, this industry treats bike sales like they are state secrets. You want to know how many iPhones Apple sells every month? They'll tell you. You want to know how many cars Honda sells every month? They'll tell you. That's all public. I don't know why motorcycle sales, if I were to find out the sales and tell you on this show, someone would come, plug this thing in, and electrocute me. For some reason, they're super, super, super secret. But one thing that has slipped out is that the sport bike market is not even close to what it once was. So we've got an expensive sport. It went through tough times for a variety of reasons. And the type of bikes we're essentially trying to market when you go racing in this series, those sales aren't what they once were. So, as I check in with the series this weekend, we find ourselves in a situation of everyone is trying to pull together and root. There are diehards in every series that I've covered, and I've covered a lot of them. I've covered off-road truck racing. The people that race off-road trucks absolutely love off-road trucks. ATV racing, the people that race ATVs love ATVs. GNCC, you know, that's close to my heart. That's where I broke into this industry, the off-road world. They'll do anything, those series, to pitch together. Rally car racing, I've gone to those. Same thing, like the people that are involved in those sports, they are diehards. And you're seeing that diehard spirit. People remember how good this series once was, and they want it to be there again. So the MotoAmerica folks, I mentioned the name Wayne Rainey, you probably remember him. It's a 500 GPs back then, MotoGP now, multi-time champ. He and a group of others decided to put this series together and try to rebuild road racing in America. I think it was 2015 or something like that. So they're on the rise. You would be kidding yourself if you said it's back where it was in 2005 times. That was the Matt Mladen and Ben Spies days, and right before that, Nicky Hayden had come out of this series and moved to MotoGP, and you know, RIP to Nicky Hayden, an absolute legend, but that's the superstars that this series produced at one time. Everybody knows the name Nicky Hayden. So that's the level that everybody wants to get to, and they've got a serious headwind because these types of bikes don't sell the way they used to. But what I learned here with MotoAmerica for the weekend is that the series itself is giving it everything it has. They're trying to do everything first class. To me, they're spending a lot as almost an investment in the future, like we're gonna build it and they will come type situation. And they do have the diehards. They do have people that are willing to work and spend and thrash and make it happen. So we'll see how it goes in the future. Maybe American road racing can at least get back to a reasonable level like it used to be. Ben Smith, tough break in that one.
Yeah, it's tough, but
You'll be back.
Yeah.
You'll be back. He had a podium in the 600 class the other day, but then crashed today. We'll see what the future holds for American road racing and if it can get back to where it was. But my final note on this type of racing is the one we often reference when I see people say, motocross, supercross, they should do this, they should do this change, they should do this, do that, do this, do that. Everybody's got suggestions on changes that would make the sport better. Well, here's what happened in road racing. They tried to make changes. They tried to take it from here, like where motocross and supercross is. Everybody wanted it to go here, and they tried, and they took big risks, and it did not work. You have to be careful. Sometimes change is good, sometimes it is not. And this is long before I came to MotoAmerica this weekend. Long before I think MotoAmerica even existed. I'm probably saying this for 10 years now. You have to be careful. And sometimes you need to look around and realize how good you have it. And of all these other types of series I covered, off-road truck racing, rally car racing, ATV racing, American flat track, right here, MotoAmerica. Almost all of them look at motocross and supercross and they're like, if we could just have that. If we could just have that. The stability, think about it. The factory teams in motocross and supercross have been here for like 50 years. Team Kawasaki, 50 years, everybody. Team Honda, 50 years. We're on the verge of that. That is stability that most motorsports, very, very few, have. And you have to be very careful if you're gonna rock that boat. So I know there's always suggestions. Look, we love dirt bike racing. And it's like your kid, right? You have this almost unnatural love for it and you believe it's so good, and I want the whole world to know how good my kid is. I want the whole world to know how good my sport is. So we always want motocross and supercross to grow and be bigger and better. Of course we do. But you have to be careful the means you want to get there. If you try to blow up the system because you're thinking this sport shouldn't be this big, it should be this big. It's been done, it's been tried. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. And when you have that stability that you've seen in the dirt bike pits for so long, you really want to be careful to not upset that apple cart. Because road racing, big risks, it did not pay off. Look, I'm quoting other people, I'm not saying this, but there are many in this paddock over the weekend that are like, dude, at one point we thought we were done. We thought the series was done. They're back, and MotoAmerica is good. And it's certainly a whole lot better, as Jake Gagne said, than it was even a few years ago. So kudos to them for that. I don't know if they can dig their way out of it. They've got the sales headwinds for this type of motorcycle as well. But they're giving it their best effort, and that is awesome. Because it could have gone, you know, just even further in the wrong direction. You just got to be careful with too much change, too soon, too quickly, and then the economy really tanked them as well. So that's my check-in. Just thanks to the MotoAmerica people for having me out this weekend. The pits were super accommodating. Everybody was friendly. They gave me enough info so I could sound knowledgeable. It's like I said before, this weekend I was not. I faked it till I made it. I went to college. You know what I learned in college? How to cram for a test and sound smart for one day when you were being tested. That was me this weekend. But I can go to the next one because there's an off weekend after the Colorado National. So we'll shift back into Lucas Oil Pro Motocross mode. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. Myself and Grant Langston will be saddled up in the booth next weekend, Fox Raceway at Pala, for the opener of Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. But always good to see the way the other side lives, and my best to the road racing group here in the United States, MotoAmerica, as they continue to try to strengthen the sport that these diehards love so much.